right, I guess we'll get started on our second episode. Angie, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so this is round two, and we learned a lot from our first episode. We want to thank everybody for sharing their feedback, and we got a lot of it.
We did, yes.
And all good and constructive. But, it's just like, it's like when you ask your spouse if these pants make your butt look big. Do you really want to know, but then you don't want to know, right? And so...
You want to know the right answer. You don't want to know the correct answer. But in this case, we want to know the correct answer.
That's right. And so, but then it's hard to determine the correct answer because either people are being really polite and saying nice things, right?
Right.
Or maybe somebody's being overly picky about something, right? And so you kind of have to discern. But here's what we have done, and you may appreciate this. We are going to shorten each episode.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
That was the bulk of our feedback.
Yeah. So
that it was a little long.
Yeah. But, I wonder if it was better content if the people wouldn't think that it was long. I don't know.
Maybe, but I think we need to figure out what we're doing first.
All right. So the second thing is, I think we should let people know what's coming up in the episode, right? Because if you do have an episode that's 56 minutes long, people don't know if the thing that you're currently talking about, if you're going to talk about that for 56 minutes, or if you plan on talking about something else. So in this episode, just want to let you know what's coming up. We have a couple of news items from around Collin County. And we have a interview, and so we split the interview into two. Instead of having one long interview, we're going to spread the interview out over a couple of episodes. And this particular interview, I think people would be interested in. It's from a group here in Collin County that helps families after disasters. So I think that would be a good thing for people to hear. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
And of course, we want to remind people how to contact us. We've got a lot of new followers on our Facebook page, which is great. You can hear the podcast on any of your podcast platforms, except for maybe Spotify right now. We're still working on that one. So wherever you're currently listening to your podcast, you can find us there. You got Facebook also on our website, which is collincounty.life, collincounty.life. You can see both the videos and listen to the audio version of the podcast. So we encourage you, obviously, to head to those sites. Also, if somebody would like to provide us feedback through email or contacts us and contacts, is that a word?
Yeah. I think those are the things you put in your eyes.
You're right. If someone would like to contact us by email, feedback@collincounty.life, feedback@collincounty.life. So that pretty much takes care of the business there. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Are you ready to go?
Maybe.
You don't know for sure.
I think I am.
All right. So we got a couple of items that I wanted to share from around the county here. One story comes out of Princeton. It was published in the Princeton Herald this week. And this one will probably resonate with you. It actually happened in November, but the people involved were recognized in the last school board meeting that occurred just recently there in Princeton. But apparently back in November, a 7th grade student collapsed while he was stretching. So he must have been involved in some PE.
Right.
Or,
yeah.
I mean, isn't that every educator's worst nightmare? I'm asking you because you used to be involved in the school.
Yes. To have a child collapse, yes, that would be one of the many worst nightmares, but that's the top.
Yeah. And so you've been trained,
yes,
theoretically, on how to handle this situation, but it doesn't necessarily come up every day. So it relies upon you to remember your training.
Right.
Thankfully, 2 of the coaches were there. One by the name of Aaron Mullinax and the other David Lammers, I guess. It's either Lammers or Lamers. And I'm going to go with Lammers.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were there and they recognized what was going on and they used their training and successfully were able to revive the young student, 7th grade student. Wow. So they were recognized by the school board in the last school board meeting for their heroics, and rightly so. So
yes, that's very scary. I know there's been several incidences where kids have choked, especially the little ones.
Right.
And that's that's scary because you know what to do because you've taken the class, but you often wonder, is it going to come back to me? Am I going to look around and hope somebody else does something? But yeah, that's great.
Right, right. And I know this from personal experience. Bad things happen to kids at school. I've had my own experience of a girl hitting me in the head with a lunchbox, and
That's still There's still a question as to why exactly she hit you in the head and whose responsibility that
well,
was.
she was just swinging around her lunchbox, and it's back when not the kind of lunchboxes we have these days,
Not
where
the soft, squishy kind?
not the soft outside, but the metal with the metal hinges, and one of those hinges caught one of the veins here in my head, and I became head wound Harry, and it was nasty. Kids went running, and it was
And did your teacher know what to do?
no, I walked myself in. If I remember right, I walked myself into the nurse's office, which was just right near where I got hit, and bled out on her floor.
Oh,
So yeah,
well, let's hope did she know what to do?
I think so. I survived. I'm
Yeah,
here.
I see. Yeah,
Everyone
good.
can see me. But good news there from Princeton, Texas, and just appreciate our teachers and all the things they have to do. We have a lot of teachers in our family, so I always have to give them a shout out. Also in Plano, another shout out to sort of our first frontline first responders group. An officer by the name of Brittany Fagans. She's been on the force there, I think, since 2015. She made 92 DWI arrests in
Wow.
Plano last year. Last year,
Wow.
yeah, 20.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it seems like a lot.
I feel like it's a lot.
And 20 of those, 20 of the 92 were in December.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and
A little too much. I don't know. I
yeah, a
would say
little too
Christmas
much
celebrating, but
Christmas spirit, but she has a goal, because she was, I think it was, I may have the dates wrong here, but I think it's 2019. Yeah, 2019. She herself was hit by a drunk driver,
oh,
so she's made it her mission to get to them before they have a wreck.
oh.
So
Well, God bless her for that.
yeah, and I would say to people, hey, don't drive through Plano if you've been drinking, but let me just say this: don't drive if you've been drinking.
Right.
Okay, there is absolutely no reason in this
No,
world today.
especially in this day and age with Uber availability
No,
and yeah, the awareness.
yeah.
Don't do it.
If you
It's
don't
not
have
worth
a
it.
sober friend to drive you home,
Well, you have Uber if you don't have a
yeah,
sober friend.
yeah, yeah. We should see zero DWI arrests.
We should. And that number is obviously indicating that people are not thinking wisely.
Yeah, well, that's something that alcohol can do to you too. It can make you think not wisely. So
That is true. So you have to think wisely in advance
yeah,
and maybe just Uber to your location so
yeah.
your vehicle is not there.
Yeah. I just wish there was a way that people who serve alcohol perhaps could maybe, and we're assuming they had this alcohol out somewhere.
Right. Yeah,
They
don't
might
know
have just
that.
been drinking at home alone, but when you're out somewhere, it would be nice if it, those places took a little bit more aggressive action in preventing people from
Right.
straying away from the bar.
Yes. Yeah. I think they're supposed to, but supposed to in actual reality is two different things.
Yeah, I think this can be hard judgments to make. So I don't want to criticize, but I just wish it could happen. One other positive story here, out of Frisco, young lady, 17 years old. Her name is Grace Wang, and she has an Instagram account. I believe it's called Voices of POC, or Voices of People of Color, Voices of POC. You can search it on Instagram. And she goes around Collin County, and you may encounter her one day with a camera strapped around her neck, and she will interview people of color. She spots them. So she may be in the supermarket, she may be at the park, she may be somewhere, and she'll stop and ask them if they'd like to be interviewed. And so she just documents their experience as a
Wow.
person of color. I think that's a really clever
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said she was 17?
17 years old.
Wow.
Her parents were a little nervous about her,
Yeah.
walking around the mall asking people to stop and talk to her, because that's just the opposite that
Right. Don't talk to strangers.
right,
Yeah.
right. But she's out there talking to
Yeah.
strangers, which is a good
Right.
thing, because I think the way that we conquer social issues in our world is not to not talk about them or
Right.
not to shut people up, but to allow people to communicate about their feelings, because sometimes you can assume. I know I'm oftentimes shocked when friends of mine who are people of color will share their experience with me, and I'm like totally shocked because I saw it a total different way, right?
Well, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it from a white perspective,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, absolutely. So yeah, for somebody that young to
mhm,
get out there and do that,
absolutely.
that's courageous
Yep.
and encouraging.
Speaking of the younger generation, let's just stay there for a minute.
Okay.
Really cool thing going on in Allen. Apparently, the Credit Union of Texas has opened a branch inside the high school. And
Oh,
yeah. And the high school students are the ones who are managing the branch.
really?
Yeah. It's funny because
That's really cool.
yeah, it's funny because about 20 years ago, I worked for a credit union
Right.
down in Dallas,
Hmm.
and we were in the Farmers Branch ISD, and I was working with the Farmers Branch ISD about doing the exact same thing. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, but it was weird because there's politics involved with everything, right?
Right.
And it just became this. It was too big to do kind of thing.
Right.
It was too lofty an idea, but apparently the Credit Union of Texas has pulled it off in Allen, and so they have so they interviewed students, allowed them to apply for jobs. But I think this is
Are they
so
paid?
I believe they probably are, because I don't think you can actually get away anymore with like quote unquote unpaid internships unless it's part of a class.
Yeah, maybe a
But I don't
rotation of
think
some
so.
form.
I
Huh.
mean, it'd be an interesting question.
Yeah.
But I bet they're paid something.
That's really neat though.
But what's even neater about it, neater if that's a word, is the fact that so many students today are graduating from college with a low level of financial literacy.
Yes, I am familiar with some of those
Yeah,
students.
yeah, and so we have five
We have
adult
5
children,
adult children, raised
two
2
of
in our
them
home,
in our
yes.
home, and so we've gone
The
about.
other 3 we sent to an orphanage.
Yeah.
Kidding.
We were blended,
Yeah.
but we got our fair share of those other 3. So anyway, the they're just it's just amazing what they don't learn. I just remember when I was in high school, we had a class.
Yeah. We had to go I remember growing up in Plano, went to Plano East.
Hmm.
We had a class where we had to actually we were allowed to leave campus during the day to do
Hmm.
this project where we would go and research like different apartment buildings
Hmm.
and we had a budget. We had to work with this budget of how much we supposedly got paid and all the things that we had to pay for. Now I can't say that it necessarily helped me with my
Budgeting skills.
spending abilities, but at least it gave me some real world idea of what life as a grown up was going to be. And I
Mhm.
don't think our kids necessarily come out of public school anyway, or college for that matter,
Yeah.
with that information. I know they don't.
2 things they should teach in high school and college, and that is how to do your taxes,
Yes.
right?
How to write a check.
Right. It just basic checking account stuff, and how to do it, your tax return. Because literally these young people get out of college and they've never done any of those things
No.
unless their parents made them do it. Maybe that's
Right.
why we know. I don't know,
Oh,
but
maybe that needs to be in the parenting 101 course.
which there isn't one.
No, but maybe there needs to be.
Maybe there does. All right. So that takes care of this episode's news items. What I want to do now is turn over to a man that you and I have both known. Actually, it's a couple, Curt and Neal, who are friends of ours. But Curt is a director at the Texas Baptist Men organization, and he works in disaster relief. So most of the storm season, he and Ann are going across the country,
Right.
helping people who are affected or impacted by different natural disasters. So they
Mhm.
keep very busy, and they have a lot of great stories. So Curt's going to be joining us. Hey, Curt, thanks for joining us on Collin County Life. It's really great to have you here with us today. And to get started, I'd always like to ask our guests what brought them to Collin County in the first place, and kind of why did you end up staying here?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for having me, Brent.
Yeah.
We moved here with Texas Instruments. We moved
Ah,
from Abilene. They shut the Abilene facility down in 1992, and we moved here Christmas of '92 and moved into the McKinney area. We looked at different areas around Collin County. Prosper, we looked at that, too small. Frisco, we looked at that, way too small at the time.
at the
Kind of
time.
funny. And so we decided on McKinney, which was a nice sized town, 24,000 people.
Right.
And we had a house built a few miles from here, and wound up staying because we loved our church. Of course, our employment was here
Mhm.
with Texas Instruments and Raytheon, and we both wound up working for them and retiring uh, with Raytheon. So it was
Great.
just a great fit.
Yeah, and so that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is what you've been doing in retirement, which doesn't seem a whole lot like retirement to me, but it seems like it keeps you guys busy. You and your wife. I should mention Ann's not here, but your wife Ann. I know she is almost always with you, so hopefully you didn't make her stay at home. But tell me a little bit about Texas Baptist Men, this organization that you're a part of. What you do there, and sort of what does TBM do? I think people have heard of them, but maybe don't know exactly what Texas Baptist Men do.
Well, TBM is a kind of a large organization. We do a lot more than just disaster relief, but that is the area that I specialize in, is disaster relief. And it's just as you heard. I mean, we in response to a disaster, we will send out teams to determine what the need is, and we'll work with emergency management offices that are set up in each one of these affected cities, and we'll try to respond to their needs. Some cases it may be feeding. In some cases it may be mass feeding. If we have to feed a large population of people, we're equipped to feed as much as 25 to 30,000 meals per day,
Wow.
and depending on the number of volunteers that we get. But then we also have feeding units that feed just our volunteers, and so we'll work with a church in that area that is large enough to host a large number of people. By host, I mean we'll actually come in and take over part of their building, and we'll sleep there, we'll stay there, and we'll do all of our deployment out of that particular church. And that's basically who we represent when we're in the area. Is we'll represent, say, for instance, North Orange Baptist Church in Orange, Texas.
Right.
We'll represent them, and anytime we go out in the community, we are representing North Orange, but we're also representing Texas Baptist Men. And we have chainsaw units that respond in times of tornadoes, hurricanes. We have mud out, or what they call fire and flood units, that respond when there's a flood, when there's a flash, a forest fire, things of that nature. We have childcare that we offer people
Wow.
in times of need. If they need to drop their kids off for a couple hours to go fill out some paperwork at FEMA, we'll watch their kids for them. We have what we call a box unit. A box unit responds whenever there's, say, for instance, a flood. People need to box their things up so that they can move into their house or kind of put their stuff in storage. So we'll send out teams and give away boxes.
Wow.
And there's just a variety of other things.
It seems like a lot of practical help in a particular time that you don't even think about, really, people needing that kind of help. How old is the organization, and specifically like this part of the organization, the chainsaw crew? Where was that developed? How did that sort of get started?
Okay, well, Texas Baptist Men has been around since the 60s, and it started small.
So have I.
Yeah. And but then one of our gentlemen here in Collin County, he was at First Baptist at the time, had the idea, and he proposed it to the Collin Baptist Association at the time. Rick Ballard was the gentleman's name that was the director of missions at the time.
Right.
Said, okay, can we put a chainsaw unit together and can we go help people out? And they thought it was a good idea. We got a local company to sponsor us with a number of chainsaws, and got a trailer and
Wow.
put our logo on there, and it kind of started fanning out from there.
Right.
And the rest of the state kind of, by the rest of the state, I mean, there's several Baptist associations around the state that saw that it was a good idea. And we now have over 23 separate units around the state of Texas. Most
Wow.
of them are located in South and East Texas, but Collin County continues to be the biggest and the number one in terms of training.
Right.
We have our state director for chainsaw is out of Collin County.
Okay, Angie, it's time for us to talk about some of the upcoming events
Okay.
in Collin County and things to do. There's lots of things to do in our county, and something for everybody.
Yes, there is. All right. So we're going to, next weekend is Valentine's weekend.
It is. Oh, it is.
Hint.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me write that down.
Yeah, write that down. The 14th every year, February 14th, in case anyone forgets that date. And so in Frisco,
You know, that's just a made-up holiday. It's totally about making
who made
money.
it up?
The merchants to sell stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
You have to prove that.
Common sense tells you Christmas is over, the store is dead. What am I going to do to get people back in here? I'm going to create a holiday that has nothing to do with anything.
Right. Okay. And the reason to sell candy and gifts.
Well, I think it's more about selling the diamonds. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, mark that on your calendar,
Okay.
sweetie.
All right.
Okay. So Frisco.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, because I think you and I are going to go to this
Yes, we are.
on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Is the well, it's the 13th and the 14th, but the Porsche show is on the 13th.
Okay.
Okay. And so this is at Frisco Fresh Market.
Okay.
The Porsche show is only from 8:30 to 10:30.
Okay. Right. So you have to get up early.
Right.
Get that
so
out
if
of
you
the
want
way.
to see that part. The rest of it is opened from 8 to 4. So that's the full day that Frisco Fresh Market is open, and that's the 13th and the 14th. They're going to have there's going to be candles and sweets, and it's a market. It's like a farmer's market, so to speak, so that they have baked goods and things like that that you can purchase. And again, that's at 9215 John West Elliott Drive.
All right.
And that's in Frisco. Also in Frisco, so this is for your kids,
Mhm.
Saturday the 13th.
Yeah.
Saturday's the 13th?
That's correct.
Okay. Sunday's the 14th. I apologize for my confusion.
That's okay.
So from 8 until 11 at they're having what is called a trick-a-trout kid fish.
Trick or treat.
Trick-a-trout. Yeah. Ooh.
I wonder if it works the same as trick or treat, where the kid just says trick or treat and the fish come out and get in
And
the
jump
net.
into their little net.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I've noticed the last couple of Halloweens, maybe a lack of effort from the kids.
yeah.
You know,
It's like, hey, I'm here. Here's
Give me-
my bag.
They're
What are
gonna-
you going to do for me?
they're going to find out fishing is a lot different.
Yes, you got to work for that.
Okay.
So that is at Frisco Commons Park, which is 8000 McKinney Road, which I think is right up El Dorado, but
Okay.
don't take
Get out your map.
Yeah, get out your map. Don't trust me on that one. So what they're doing is they're stocking the Frisco Commons pond with thousands of rainbow trout.
Wow.
This is for kids 16 and under.
Okay.
So you can't go,
I can't go.
but you have to bring your own fishing gear and your own bait.
Okay.
Okay. So there's that. And that's only from 8 until 11. So
Okay.
you got a 2-hour window to catch thousands of rainbow
See,
trout.
that's why I've never liked to hunt or
Actually-
fish. It always happens early.
Math boy, you didn't catch that.
No, I didn't. What?
2-hour window, 8 to 11.
Oh, yeah. That's bad.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. Okay.
3 hours.
Yep, 3. I'm glad I caught that. All right, so moving right along. Plano, on February 13th,
Okay.
they're having in downtown Plano, a Plano Mardi Gras crawl.
Okay.
Okay, so that is from noon until 6. And this is actually, you have to have tickets for this,
Okay.
but it's a sip and shop.
I have to have tickets to crawl because
Yep.
it seems like something I could just do
Well,
naturally.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, you do have to have tickets.
Okay.
So, and I think the crawling comes after the sipping of the adult beverage.
Gotcha.
So that is the part why you have to pay,
Right.
because of the adult beverage.
Mhm.
And you get a really cool Mardi Gras mason jar.
Okay.
So I don't know what that
Like
means.
your
exactly.
glass that you have right there?
Yes, but it says Mardi Gras something or another on it.
Okay.
So tickets are $30, and you can get them online through Eventbrite.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and then, and I have to mention this one early for all of you cat loving people. On February 23rd from 8 until 6, the Plano Animal Shelter is doing nickel neutering for cats.
All right. Nickel
Okay.
neutering.
Nickel neutering.
Like, again, I said, if anybody needs, donation, be sure to reach out to me. I'll spare a nickel if you need it.
Yeah, get your cat neutered.
Yes.
And then you have to call for an appointment for that.
Okay.
McKinney, just a friendly reminder, Valentine's is coming up.
It's coming up quick.
It is coming up quick. So Tups Brewery.
Okay.
They have so much going on that every time I try to find something fun to do, Tups is
Pops
probably
up.
one of the pop things. I think they have something every day.
Mhm.
So it just so happens that Valentine's weekend is also the second Saturday Arts and Crafts, which we talked about last time.
Right.
So just kind of a reminder, it is an outdoor event. So
Mhm.
it's not going to be in their facility. It's in their car park area.
Mhm.
So that they're going to have all kinds of vendors, a beer garden, crafts. So 721 Anderson Street in McKinney.
All right.
And let's see what else I got.
How about, go ahead.
Salina.
Okay. Yes. Salina.
Salina. We haven't talked about Salina.
Yes.
Salina's an up and coming city.
That is true.
And there's an event facility here that's called 229 on the Square,
Okay.
which coincides with their address 229, which is 229 West Pecan Street in Salina. They are having a Valentine's dinner with dueling pianos. So that's February 13th from 6 to 11. Again, tickets through Eventbrite on that. And that's $90 per person, which sounds like a lot, but you get a 3-course dinner, that you get 2 drink tickets, adult beverages,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have a cash bar. So it sounds like a lot of fun.
So sad is the person that just buys one ticket,
That is sad.
right? So
That's sad.
isn't it? Wouldn't you say the minimum is $180?
Okay, let's go with that. $180 for a wonderful evening in Salina with dueling pianos with your sweetie.
Yeah.
So that's what I have for right at this moment.
That's fantastic. And by the way, isn't Third Monday Trades Day in McKinney? Isn't that next weekend too?
Oh, yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Well,
because it's the third Monday, but it's the second Saturday.
Right.
So it's kind
That's
of
very
weird,
confusing.
but I
Yes.
think it is.
But yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So that is always, if you have not been to that,
Yes.
that is great. So
You can
that's on
find
380,
everything there.
Highway 380 in McKinney between Lake Forest and Hardin.
No. It's between Lake Forest and Hardin. Exactly. You'll know when you get there because
Yes.
there'll be cars everywhere.
Right. It's not an accident. It is the line to get into Trades Days.
Right. And it is you can find everything there.
Yes, you
From
can.
like I mean
Everything from
puppy
old
dogs to
junk.
junk.
But I like junk
Yes.
a
All right.
lot.
All right. Thanks, Angie. All right. So we're going to pass this on back to our listeners so they can get about their day. And we want to make sure that you join us next time. So be sure to go to our Facebook page at Collin County Life Podcast, at Collin County Life Podcast on Facebook, or go to our website at collincounty.life, collincounty.life, or pick us up on any of your podcast applications that you currently use. We'll see you later this week. Thanks.